Disruptors, or the LID event, as we like to call it, is our pinnacle event we like to run here at the Macquarie University Incubator, where we connect with innovative thinkers from around Australia and, you know, abroad, around the kinds of work that they're doing that's disrupting a particular area that they are commercializing in. We at the incubator obviously are an incubator and work with lots of different startups, and this is a good opportunity for us to connect with I guess leaders in their field and introduce them and connect them to the groups that are connected to us at Macquarie University Incubator as well. And today we're very fortunate to be in conversation with Catherine and Aniyo from Good Edi, whose business is really tackling a environmental and social impact piece, and that is the disposable coffee cup. So these guys have invented a edible takeaway coffee cup and are now looking to take over the hospitality world, as it were. So we're very excited to have them here today. So thanks for joining us, guys. So the way that today's session will work, it will be a conversation with me and the guys, and then we'll open up to questions. So we'll try and get through that conversation as well as we can, because sometimes it's those questions that are the real valuable piece in these sessions. We love to hear from you. So I'd like to kick off by just doing a very quick acknowledgement of country. Here at Macquarie University, we like to acknowledge the Wadamadigal people of the Darug Nation, and we like to acknowledge their elders past, present and emerging. And a really interesting thing about the Wadamadigal clan is their totem is a black snapper, as you'll see. And we love this this black snapper because it was a very intelligent fish, and it was very good at caring for its young and nurturing. And we like to think that that's kind of what we like to do at the incubator, is we're innovative, but we're also nurturing. So we like to help startups and help them grow. This is where I'm sitting today, the Macquarie University Incubator. It's a very fancy wooden building we love, and we're very lucky to be here. We are the bit about us. We're the entrepreneurial heart of Macquarie University. We work with startups from outside of the university, but also we work with researchers, students, and corporates, and connect all of those pieces together to, I guess, ensure that we have a really thriving, innovative ecosystem here. That's the end of my presentation. And I wanted to, before we kicked off our discussion, I wanted to introduce Danielle Friday, because the team at Good Edi went through the Taronga Zoo Accelerator Hatch, which is developed and run by Danielle. And we're lucky to have Danielle on the line here today. So we've just sort of last minute asked her if she'd like to jump up, say a few words about the Good Edi, and also give you a bit of a rundown on the Hatch program, what it's about. So Danielle, how are you going?
Well, how are you? Thanks, Morgan.
Yeah, great, thanks.
Yeah, look, thanks for having me, and great. I won't take up too much time because obviously Good Edi are far more interesting to hear from about their amazing coffee cup, but great opportunity to get to connect with everyone and just share a little bit about Hatch. So thank you. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the people of the Camaragal land, which is where I'm joining from at Taronga Zoo. The Hatch Taronga Accelerator Program is run and managed by Taronga Conservation Society Australia, which many people would know better, I guess, as Taronga Zoo or Taronga Western Plains Zoo. And Taronga's overall vision is a shared future for wildlife and people. And, you know, I think many of us are well aware of so many of the environmental challenges that our land and wildlife are facing. And we're doing some amazing work here and with all of our conservation and research partners as well. But we recognise we don't have all the answers, and that there are a lot of people out there who have brilliant ideas for the planet, who may not be in a position in their regular day-to-day work to bring those to life. And so that's what Hatch is all about. Taronga has supported environmental innovation for the last decade through our Green Grants program, where we provided grants to organisations that were taking innovative approaches to tackle different environmental challenges. And this is really our next step on that journey, to not only provide that grant funding, but actually wrangle the expertise within Taronga and amazing partners that we work with to help those people like Aniyo and Catherine with these amazing ideas to actually take that idea from an idea to the reality.
Thanks, Danielle. That's amazing. And I've got an 8-year-old daughter who I asked her this morning, what do you want to do when you grow up? And she said to me, I think I want to be a zookeeper. But then the night before, she did a lean business model canvas, like just randomly did one and gave it to me about a book club. She wants to, and I thought, well, you know what, maybe I should be like heading her towards your way, and she can be in your next program.
Absolutely. We've got amazing educational programs that happen here. Plus we've got like our holiday zookeeper type program. So there's lots of different ways for the younger ones to get involved. And, at this stage, the program is 18 plus, but we have talked about ways to engage some of the younger generation as well. So watch this space. You never know.
That's amazing. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks.
So guys, Catherine, Aniyo, thanks again for joining us. We've had a bit of a chat recently, but I wanted to kick off. The kind of thing that we like to ask is, where are you from and what was it like growing up there?
All right, thanks Morgan, and thanks for having us. We're really excited to be in this call today. So I'm Catherine, and I am originally from New Zealand. So I grew up in New Zealand, as you might be able to tell from my accent, which hasn't seemed to have dimmed down since I've been living outside of New Zealand for almost 10 years. And yeah, growing up in New Zealand was really amazing. Obviously, we have this amazing environment and lots of outdoors things to be enjoyed, similar to Australia. And a lot of my childhood was spent enjoying all of these outdoor activities like water sports, hiking, biking, snow sports as well. So I'm really into the outdoors and nature, and I find it really inspiring. So it's really cool that we've sort of come to where we are today, being able to do something to look after our environment for the future generations.
Hello everybody, I'm Aniyo, the other co-founder of Good Edi. I'm originally Iranian. I lived in Iran most of my life. I lived Iran when I was 22. I lived a couple of years in Europe, and then 8 years ago I moved to Australia. So my passion about environment and nature grown really eventually. So when I was a child, I used to live very close to the mountains, so a lot of hiking back then, and enjoying the nature like that. Then, of course, Sweden has beautiful nature and outdoor activities that you can do. And of course, Australia is a beautiful land and beautiful landscape and nature that I have been enjoying. And as Catherine said, it's so amazing that finally we can do something very small to protect our environment.
That's amazing. So you're both nature junkies is what I'm hearing. So how did you guys first get together and come up with this idea that of an edible coffee cup?
So Catherine and I, we are friends and we are colleagues. 4 years ago, we met each other at work, and we had a lot of common projects that we used to work on. And we used to have lunch break and coffee break. And sustainability and new business ideas were common topics that we used to discuss. And always we were telling each other, we can do something, we should do something. And we were always appreciating all these startups, new companies and new ventures that are coming forward, and they are trying to do something to protect the environment. So one of these coffee breaks, we said to each other why we not focus on disposable coffee cups. So the first thing we did, we started researching the market and understanding how big the problem is. And unfortunately, the numbers that we found, they were overwhelming. We found in Australia, we are disposing of 1 billion cups every year. And this data is not actually recent. So many people say in the last few years, it has doubled or tripled, and especially during COVID. Then globally, when you look at these numbers, it's 500 billion cups. And then the solutions that are out there, they are not really truly sustainable. So whether they are when they are eventually creating waste, and the infrastructure to process these disposable cups is very limited in Australia and around the world. So 90% of these cups end up in landfill. Then we decided to do something about it. And our conclusion after all this research that we have done was the only waste-free option is something that you can eat. And that's how the idea of edible cup was born. And then we worked a lot to find something that goes really good with the coffee. And it was something biscuit or waffle cone. And we did a lot of trials to come up with the final recipe. And that's how Good Edi was born.
That's amazing. When you were doing your, I guess, conception phase of what your product was going to be, or how, like what you know, I'm sure you went through a lot of different. Actually, that's a good question. What did you go straight to an edible cup when you were developed like this waffle cone cup? Were there other kinds of prototypes that you developed, and why did you not go with any of them? If that's the case.
Yeah, phase. We looked at all the different options. So, you know, like, could we use a bioplastic, or could we use recycled materials, or all of these different sort of avenues? And we looked at what people were currently doing, had it been successful, what was working in different countries. So we really did like a really broad research. And we really looked into waste management as well, especially here in Australia. We're quite limited in recycling and also in composting, industrial composting. So some of the cups that are out there today that are the seen as the most eco or green takeaway cups, they need to be industrially composted, and there's not enough facilities to process all of them, and the access to get the cups there is not in place. So that's what led us down this pathway of what can we create that's not going to cause an extra strain on waste management, that's actually going to solve the problem, but also at the same time be convenient for the consumers and the users. So people don't need to change what they're doing, their behaviour, because behaviour change is quite a difficult thing, and they can do something that's good for the environment, and we're solving that problem.
That is really cool. So I know that you had maybe not the most conventional way of raising money that we generally see with startups. It would be lovely if you could talk a bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So we raise money through a few different avenues. Obviously, we're really, really lucky and appreciative to be the winners of the grant from the Hatch program. So that was a huge help. And that's been pivotal to get us to where we are today in such a fast timeline. So when we say it's an accelerator program, really it's an accelerator program. So that has helped us a lot. We also did a crowdfunding campaign, which was a reward-based one. So that meant people could pre-order our cups on that campaign. And that was really successful as well. And it proved a few things. One thing that was really important was checking that people were going to actually buy the cups, which was a really good proof of concept, because you know, that's what people would say, well, no one's going to buy them. And then when we said, well, I think they are, but we had to really get it out there into the market and prove that point. And you know, we had loads of orders, so that was really exciting, and lots of interest as well. And it helped us to learn a lot about who would be interested in the product, and what are our main customers, and what are our main channels that we can use to get our product out to the market, and thinking about marketing and how do we promote them and things like that. So that was really helpful. And then finally, our third fundraising and for this initial phase was to do a seed fundraising round and get some investors on board, which has been really awesome as well. So we've just concluded that, and that's given us all of the funding that we needed to get our production set up and be able to get ready for our commercial launch.
That's amazing. Can I ask you a question on the crowdfunding front? Was there any point you were like worried because you got people that are investing in it and they're like, oh, I'm going to get a Keep Cup, great. And you're like, oh, I mean, a Edi Cup, hey. Then they're like, you're like, oh, now we have to deliver on that.
Well, when we started, we were worried. Like, we didn't know if this is going to work. But for us, we had limited expectation, you can say. We said we are going to do our best, and this is one channel that we are going to approach. And we did everything that we knew is going to work for our target customers. So we targeted consumers and we targeted the cafes at that point that we thought they would be interested on our product. We did a lot of demo days to create the vibe and also create the crowd. And during the whole few weeks of crowdfunding campaign, as you know, it's quite stressful, but it started really, really well. So it's like a curve. It starts really well, goes down a little bit, and then at the end of it, it's just bumps up again. So we went through all the motions, but overall, the crowdfunding was very successful. And as Catherine said, it gave us a very good point of validation about who is going to buy our product and what are the dynamic of that target group. So a lot of learning for us, for sure.
Yeah, right. And so just on that, who are the kinds of demographics that you found are purchasing your product? And further to that, in an ideal world, if you get any customer in it, but what is the ideal customer for you as well? That'd be great.
Really good question. So we have a few different like customer groups that are really interested. Obviously, a big one is cafes and roasteries that are interested to replace their current takeaway cups with Good Edi cups. And then we've also had a lot of interest from corporates and events. So people planning events where they want to not have disposable or single-use packaging. That has been a really good channel for us so far. And then we've got all the consumers and just everyone out there who's really interested to try a cool new product and to use it at their home or their office, which has been the third main channel. So yeah, really interesting. And when you say ideal customer, I guess we've been trying to target people that really have a sustainability agenda, that they want to do something good for the environment, and that means that their values are sort of aligned with ours. And yeah, that's the best sort of customer we can hope for. But we're happy for any customers.
You're definitely in the right spot being there in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Sustainability point. That is, I know right in Melbourne, that is where there's a huge sustainability push and agenda. And I think it was one of the first areas that had actually elected a Greens candidate to the lower house. So which just really gives you a bit of a benchmark for what's happening in that area. So fingers crossed. Yeah, you guys should see a really big uptake there. Melbourne first and then the world.
Definitely.
Has there been any other kinds of support beyond just the financial? I know obviously you went through the Hatch program and there's myriads of different kinds of support and connections that you get through that. What kind of, I guess, support has really helped you guys along the way that are beyond the monetary?
Very good question. And this was a journey for us, for sure. So we both have a very strong experience when it comes to corporate world. But when we started the startup, everything was kind of new to us. And basically, when you are in corporate world or you are out of university, you are very experienced or you are very skillful in one or two different subjects. But when it comes to startup, basically you need to know a lot of things, from sourcing, procurement, finance, marketing, production, everything. So for us, the network that we built through Hatch and all the people that assist us with our basically startup journey was invaluable. So we had many mentors and every different aspect of the, again, startup from, as I said, financials, lawyers, marketing, communication, and how to think about from your purpose, vision down to how to execute it. It was very valuable to be connected with these people. And I think at the end, it's to the founders, how much they want to get out of that mentorship. So I think we maximized it. So every mentor that we had through Hatch, we had numerous calls with them, and they were so generous with their time and with the knowledge, and they were very, very helpful with advising us through to the right direction and to get to the right resources and information. And it helped us massively, to navigate our way and to basically build the startup and grow it and take it to the commercial launch.
And so with wearing so many different hats in the startup, how do you guys work out between you who's gonna take on what roles and responsibilities in the startup? Do you just have a mix and you both do everything?
A bit of everything. Some stuff that we are more skilled at, so we'll take that. Aniyo really likes doing spreadsheets, so I just let her do that.
You can come in here and work with us if you like.
I don't want to take that away from her. But so we basically take everything together at this stage and then go off and work on things that need to be done. And we're very structured and organised, so that comes into it as well. So we have a morning meeting every day, first thing, and work out what we need to do, respond to emails, and make sure that we're keeping on top of everything. So, yeah.
That's brilliant. I wanted to ask you, so you're staying on top of everything, but we know, this is how I do segues. But we know that where learning comes out of failure. We don't get it right, we work out why, and then we pick ourselves up, and that's when we really grow and we really learn. And every startup is going to have some of those setbacks along the way. In the time you guys have been doing this, what have been some of the challenges that you guys have had to adapt or really learn from in this time?
We have few, for sure.
Every day in New York.
But there are a few things that they were massive roadblock. The first one was supplying the specific equipment that we needed. And that was the start of Good Edi. So we had the idea and we had the prototype and we had the formula, but we didn't have the equipment to basically industrialize this beautiful Good Edi cup. So we were researching all the markets here in Australia, around the world, and there were so many different companies that we contacted. And because of our technical background, we knew what's going to work and what's not going to work. So there were a lot of communication, and it was like going 2 months or 3 months and said, no, this is not going to work. And so we went everywhere, from Japan, China, India, US, Europe. And it was a point that we said, we can't find it. And finally we found it. It's just, learning step by step what we are actually looking for and try to communicate it better and try to provide more information and ask for better information from the supplier. And finally, we found it. But that obviously took a long time. But as everybody knows, it has its own learning, and we are very happy that finally we found the solution. The other one was raising capital. So we shared with you what were the different channels, but honestly, it was not easy. So when you start working with investing company or starting pitching to different investing company, it actually takes a lot of time, and you build a lot of relationship and trust, and ultimately might not work. Again, that was a massive learning for us, but we knew some of the parts, it was a failure. But I think for Catherine and I, what has been very clear that we know this is part of the process. We accept the learning, and we always think about, okay, what can we do next? What can we do next? So we never stop. We just look at all the options that we have, try the best of them, and if it doesn't work, we know still there is other things that we can do. So yeah, a lot of ups and downs, but I think we always figure it out.
That's brilliant. You guys are doing such an amazing job. And it would be remiss of me not to ask, what can we as a community, what can our community be doing to support you guys, to help you do what you get where you want to go?
Well, that's a great question, and we really appreciate all of the support that we get from you guys out there. And what we would really love is just for you to help spread the word. So when you're at your local cafe or you're talking to the person who stocks the cups in your office or whatever it is, then tell them about us and tell them that there's a better option out there, and then we can start to really make an impact by getting out all over Australia. So that would be really helpful. And if you would like to buy some cups, of course, you can do that as well. So you can go on our website and follow us on Instagram and keep track of where we're going and our progress.
Brilliant. Well, I think it's reached that time where we should get some questions from the audience. We've got quite a few in the chat, but I mean, this isn't there's no reason why you can't jump up and ask your questions. So does anyone like to say hi? Take yourself off mute and ask your question. Lisa, looks like you've taken yourself off mute.
I just wanted to know, do you have a cup we can see?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, just a second.
Great question.
And was the solution in overseas or in this country?
So we had to source our machine from overseas, but everything we're doing now is all here locally in Melbourne. So we're sitting, you can't see it because it's really secret, but just behind the camera is all of our equipment. So this is the cups, and so it comes with this sleeve on here that's made from recycled paper, and that could be recycled, and then of course you can eat the cup. The sleeve is required for hygienic handling, so to make them COVID safe, and also make sure that when you get the cup, if you're getting it from your local cafe, that it's nice and safe to eat.
Can I ask a quick question? If someone doesn't, you've got all these health conscious people that might not want to eat the whole biscuit, can they feed it to their dog, or, what would you recommend is the best disposing of it?
Yeah, so if you don't want to eat it, that's totally fine. The best thing to do is to try and put it into a compost, and it can go into your home compost, it can go into a compost bin in your workplace, or greens waste collection. And the next thing you could do, you could plant it in your garden. So that's totally fine as well. I tried planting some seeds and growing seedlings in them, and it proved that they definitely start to break down after a week. But then you can just repot the seedlings into a large pot.
I suggest they're great seedling containers. So if people don't end up consuming them, maybe there could be an area that they could drop them off as well, that could then be taken to the local gardens, or like it's just
exactly.
Like Wollongong Botanical Gardens or anywhere in Melbourne, that they could plant seedlings into them, put in the ground as well.
Yeah, amazing idea. That would be so cool. So if anyone is interested in a community garden, then please get in touch.
All right. Does anyone else have questions? There's a few on there. If you want to ask it, you can. If not, I'll start reading. Where did you get your cups product tested by customers? That's a good question.
Many places. So we had a bit of a struggle when we had our prototype ready, because we were in full lockdown in Melbourne. However, we did it. So we visited a lot of cafes. We took a lot of samples there and basically shared it with many cafes so they could test it. Also, we did many demo days in farmers market. So both of us, we were there. We had a stand, and we were working with a coffee cart Another cafe, they had a coffee cart in the farmers market. So we had our cups ready there, and many consumers, they tested it and tried it, and we received a lot of great feedback while we were there, and yeah, many good supports. So that was obviously before our launch, and then we had a lot of samples till our commercial launch that we kept distributing and sending to the cafes and different corporates or marketing agencies that they were interested in our product, and they all tested it as well.
I'm sure they eagerly tested it as well. We've got a few people here online that are wondering where they can pick one up from. So it sounds like we can order them from your website directly, which is fantastic. And a question about the nutritional side of the product, with things like allergies and all that sort of stuff. It's very, important for people to know what's going into anything that they're eating. How do you get across what the ingredients are for our consumers?
Yeah, so our ingredients and nutrition panel and any allergens, they're all on our website. They're also our packages will be labelled with that information.
Yeah.
So they're 100% vegan. So we don't have any animal products, and they do at this stage contain gluten, but watch this space, because as soon as we are up and running, we would like to develop a gluten-free option.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was thinking about it on the way in, and I got really hungry on the way in. I was talking to my wife, and like, I wonder if it's got eggs or anything in it, because you can't have eggs. And so that's vegan. You're just life-changing. Has anyone else got any questions? I did have a question myself, actually. What's the lid look like?
We don't have a lid,
Yep.
but we have designed the dimensions of the cup so that a standard lid will fit on top. And of course, we recommend the most sustainable compostable lids that you can find. We try to deter people from having a lid if they don't need it. It's sort of a little bit of a behavior change thing, because I think that we think, we need a lid because I always get a lid. But most of the time you don't actually need one. And because the cup is about 3 millimeters thick and it's made from like a wafer, it means it's a bit more insulating than a standard paper cup. So your coffee will still stay nice and warm even without the lid.
Yeah. So you can drink it on that Melbourne tram.
Yeah, exactly.
Ainsley from the incubator wants to ask, what are you finding are the biggest challenges to selling the cups into cafes?
So there are different type of cafes. So there are some of them, they are very focused on sustainability and less cost sensitive. And some of them, they are just focused on margin and operational costs. So to answer your question, when we are talking to a cafe that they are just focused on margin, that becomes a challenge. And the reason for that is the disposable normal cups, the price is around 10 cents or 30 cents, depending how sustainable they are. But Good Edi cups, they are obviously more expensive, and it's like a snack that you can eat. So it's not a direct or apple-to-apple comparison, but some of the cafes, they find it quite difficult to take it on board because the way they think about it. But majority of the cafes that we have spoken to, they are going to position the cups like alternative milk. So as you are paying a bit of extra to get oats milk or almond milk, there is a bit of surcharge, and that would be the same for Good Edi cups.
Yeah, that makes sense. You can just see it being one of those questions that people ask when they come in. Do you want an edible cup as well? And you can think about one of those things that you often find as a coffee lover. Well, I don't know if I'm by myself here, but when you see someone with a coffee cup and it's like got a different, you're like, where'd you get that? I've seen that bean before. I haven't seen, what is that? And so you can sort of see that's that extra driver for people walking around with an edible cup. That's great marketing in itself.
Yeah, that's what we found exactly that happening at the farmers markets. So we would have people come up and they'd say, I saw someone with one of these Good Edi cups. Can I have one of them? And we were standing there going, oh my gosh, they're ordering a Good Edi cup. So yeah, FOMO.
What other products are you thinking about? Any other products? Like, are you going to do ice cream cups and things like that?
Well, these are already ice cream ready, so you could put ice cream in them for sure already. A lot of people ask if we're going to do bowls and spoons and things like that, and for sure down the track we'll look at that as an option. Right now we're just focusing on the cup.
Yeah, get them into Messina.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Good choice.
If anyone knows anyone at Messina,
Yeah.
that's
the challenge for everyone today. Anyone Good Edi wants it. Okay. Well, I think we've answered most of the questions. Have you got a distribution list on the site? So if our guys want to go out and buy one from a cafe, can we know who's, or drink one out of one? Do we know who's using them, or is it best to just order from you directly?
At this stage, the best way is to order through us directly. And we are going to update our website with stockists or the distribution channels that we have. And we have just few partners at the moment that we put their names and logo on the website. But soon after we pass this soft launch, definitely we will update our website as well.
Brilliant. Well, unless we have any other questions flowing through today, that's a really nice way to wrap it up. We know how to connect with you. A lot of love coming in on the chat. Great work. Thank you again. Really appreciate you making the time to talk with us in our community today, and hoping that we can, this is the end of the conversation, we can maybe connect you into some of our networks that, we would love to see these coffee cups at the university. I think Ainsley's already put her hand up to try and tap some people on the shoulder. So we'll be following up with you soon.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
I think that's it. Danielle, did you have anything you wanted to say about any upcoming programs at Hatch?
Thanks, Morgan. Look, I just want to reiterate the love and celebration for the Good Edi team. They have worked so hard. As they mentioned, they were in full lockdown for a large chunk of the program last year. So, to get any result out of that is phenomenal. So super exciting to see this come to fruition, and, that these cups are going to be live out in the world. So well done. And I've tried them. I can absolutely vouch for them. I think they're fantastic to have you with your coffee, and I can't wait to receive my pre-order. But in terms of what's next for Hatch as well, we are currently in selection process for the 2021 teams, which is really exciting. So if anyone's interested to follow us along, I'll pop the Hatch link into the chat, and you can follow us on LinkedIn or sign up to the newsletter. Early July we'll be announcing the teams for this year, and then you can follow their journey and see what amazing initiatives come out from that.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, everyone. That's us for today. There will be a recording which we will distribute to you all and to all our other connections. Danielle's put the link to Hatch in the chat, so have a look at that if you like. Make sure you order some stuff from Good Edi. And if you know anyone from Messina, let us know. Until next time, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone. Bye.